Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Craig Burley and Ali Moreno. Gab Marcotte will be with us shortly as we're reflecting on what happened in La Liga today. Plus, if you haven't seen it, there's a video from Japan which is just really quite extraordinary. We start, though, in the Premier League. Manchester City taking on Watford. City looking to extend their lead at the top of the table to 4 points. Watford making 7 changes to the side that beat Leicester last week. Not much happened in the first half, but it was all about this incident just after the break. Sterling thought that he'd scored. The linesman has his flag up, and you can just see here he is offside.
Yep.
However, there it is the defender who has the first touch, deflects off Sterling into the back of the net. You can see much clearer at this angle. There it is. So boom, boom, bang. The referee goes over to the linesman, has a little chat, and decides to award the goal.
What?
And that would really, honestly, just change the whole complexion of the game. Watford were clearly shell-shocked as just like minutes later, Raheem Sterling would make it 2-0. This time he is onside. Riyad Mahrez playing across to the Englishman, who would find the back of the net.
From my kind of range, Dan. Deadly from there, Dan. You don't think so? I think so.
Oh.
Nice interchange on the right-hand side. Good service. Tap in.
And then this is brilliant. This is where Raheem Sterling has improved his game so much. Superb touch.
Well, we see his pace and how he holds his run brilliantly. And then the finish, as you say, that's where, you know, that end product is where he's undoubtedly improved.
Strange goal for City to concede, given that Watford really didn't prove anything when it came to offensive threat, but they get the goal. It finishes 3-1. Raheem Sterling, let's talk about the positives from this game, just gets better and better with every season and is very much in the conversation once again as being one of the best players in the Premier League. But let's talk about the big talking point. Once again, it's an offside decision which has got a scratch in our heads. Craig, what did you make of it?
It shouldn't really, because, you know, right, he's not offside here, even though he's in an offside position, because he's not interfering. Now he is.
Yeah.
So he's in second phase. Well, what happens is the defender clearly plays the ball, so it's an intentional play of the ball, and he plays it against Sterling. So the referees are deeming that because he intentionally played it off Raheem Sterling, it means it's onside, but it's a nonsense.
Yeah, here's the offside rule. Clearly attempts to play a ball which is close when this action impacts on an opponent, or make an obvious action which clearly impacts on the ability of an opponent to play the ball. Peter Walton, by the way, we spoke to him and he said if they had VAR, it would have overturned the decision. The goal would not have stood.
It's offside.
It's a no-brainer. This is just, the referee's just had a night.
Yes.
100%. And it's almost as if you're looking for a reason to give the ball.
That was the weird thing, wasn't it?
I mean, it is so clearly offside that if you were to see the replay, if you're a Manchester City player, and they gave you that opportunity, hey, look at this replay, they would be like, yeah, I was offside.
Yeah.
I mean, it's simple as that. There's no question about that. You just mentioned those two categories. Check. Offside. 100%.
Weird decision.
I mean, he's not, you know, at the end of the day, I've seen some already today saying, well, you know, because the defender played the ball off him, but the reason the defender played the ball off him is because, one, he was in an offside position gaining an advantage. Then in the second phase, when the ball comes off the chest of Aguero to him, he's about to take a touch and trot it around the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So the defender then has to make a decision, has to make a challenge, so he has affected the play from the position he's in. How the hell can anybody say, oh, VAR would have looked at that, and it's subjective? No, it's not.
Right, let's talk about the title race. In fact, we won't. Gab, no time for your tomfoolery. Manchester City, 4 points clear now at the top of the table. Liverpool, of course, in action tomorrow against Burnley. We can talk about title race more tomorrow. Let's focus on what else happened today.
Tomorrow.
Oh, good. St Mary's, Southampton taking on Spurs. Spurs were so dominant in this game, it was ridiculous.
Because he's been sent to the stand.
He was naughty, wasn't he, because of what he said to the referee whenever it was.
If you watched the show the other day, we were saying, why did Klopp not get banned for the same thing? And that's what Tottenham's problem is.
There we
go.
I
can understand that.
Right, well, that's not a debate here. Harry Kane makes it...
I'm debating.
By yourself.
Right. Spurs take the lead, thoroughly deserve the lead, but Saints were just not at the races at all in the first half of this
Good ball
game.
by Dele Alli. Not the best first touch by Harry Kane, but certainly a good second touch.
But then, with 14 minutes to go, the ball plays across. The Spurs defence just watches it, and Valerie's there to make it 1-1.
He is. That's a great little run.
What?
And that's not a perfect finish, but he'll take it.
And then James Ward-Prowse, what a season he is having. What a strike to make it 2-1.
Courtesy dive by Hugo Lloris. Perfection from James Ward-Prowse. Beautiful.
Massive result for both ends of the table. For Saints, of course, it keeps them out of the relegation zone. For Spurs, it drags them very much in this top four battle. They are 3 clear of United and Arsenal and Chelsea. 2 games in hand Chelsea have on them. Arsenal and United, of course, meet tomorrow. This is what Pochettino said after the game. Talking about the top 4 battle, he said, yes, but it's good because a lot of people now are going to realise our real level and maybe start to stop talking about the perception.
Great.
Well, has he got a little bit of amnesia? He's in the quarter-final of the Champions League after 2 very good performances against the league leaders as they were, well, joint league leaders in Germany. One minute he's saying he's got a good squad of players, and next thing he's saying, no, I don't. Oh, no, I do. No, I don't. He doesn't know. I don't know. He's like, whenever a defeat comes along, there always seems to be a reason, an excuse. Just say, you know, we didn't play well in the second half. We dominated the game, but we allowed Southampton to come back in. Maybe we were a bit tired from our exploits in Germany. But, you know, don't start talking about your... Well, I actually don't have a very good group of players. This is the level we're at. We can't go to Southampton and win. Really?
So is this point basically... Well, I've had enough of people taking for granted what we're achieving, getting in the top 4 as much as we have because of the resources we have. So if we have to battle for it, it just proves... I don't know how good we are.
Work it out. I don't know.
Well, why would you even take it down that direction?
Yeah.
3 weeks ago, we were talking about and debating here on this very desk as to whether Spurs were a title contender. So, and that's a category that you were in right then and there. Since then, the lack of results that have come Spurs' way is their own doing. And oh, by the way, if they were to collapse and not make it into the top 4, being where they were even 3 weeks ago and as to where they are now, even by Spurs standards, and they have had a history of collapsing, this would be a historic one.
Just to try and figure this out a little bit and to give him maybe some due, I think in reflection, what he's trying to say here probably is other teams that are going for what we're going for would be able to come off a draining night in Dortmund and make several changes. Right. You know, i.e. Man City, maybe Liverpool, potentially. I think what he's throwing out there is, I can't do that. And that's, I think, where he's frustrated.
Yeah, but the problem with that, though, is that Manchester United had to make changes and go to PSG and get a result there. Yep. And Arsenal had to go to Rennes and play there. And they're going to play. And Chelsea also has had to travel and play. So, look, we can sort of address as to what he's getting to, but that doesn't excuse the fact that they've been finding ways to give points in this race. They were in a race. That race that they were supposed to be in was supposed to be the title race. Now they're in a entirely different race. Good luck.
Let's bring Gab Marcotti into the show. Gab, what do you make of what the boys have been saying?
Well, I agree with Craig in the sense that, you know, Pochettino can't have it both ways. He can't talk about how we don't need any signings and youngsters and pathways into the first team and whatever, and then say this is our level. Beyond that, what I would say is actually, and this is the problem when you're so focused on results all the time, Spurs have been playing badly for quite a long period now. And they lost the last couple of games. They drew the North London Derby, a game which I thought they probably deserved to lose. And now here's a game where you actually played, I thought Spurs played really well for more than an hour. In the end, you hit the woodwork, you're beaten by some absurd James Ward-Prowse free kick. That's the reason you lose. And all of a sudden your world collapses when, in fact, for a good part of the game, Spurs played better than they have been playing of late.
Let's take a look, shall we, at Spurs' remaining fixtures. Not the easiest of run-ins that Pochettino's side had. They go to Anfield at the end of the month. Also, before the end of the season, they've got Manchester City at the Etihad. They end their campaign at home against Everton. For tomorrow's show, we'll be talking about another game which has great significance when it comes to the top 4. It is Arsenal against Manchester United. To La Liga we go. Barcelona taking on Rayo Vallecano. Lionel Messi's 800th game.
That's a lot.
For Barca. 23 minutes in. The out-of-form Coutinho with a shot doesn't quite connect, though, straight into the keeper's arms.
Was good interplay by Barcelona. The shot by Coutinho, if you can call it that, not very clean.
It would be the visitors who would take the lead almost straight after that. Raul de Thomas making it 1-0 to Rayo.
Well, he holds the ball up well. I think is it Piqué or what?
Piqué and Semedo.
It's Piqué initially who doesn't go to make the challenge, and then Semedo gets back in. Nobody really gets close enough, drops the shoulder, picks the corner up.
7 minutes before the break, Barca retake the lead thanks to Gerard Piqué. Oh, 1-1, sorry, Gerard Piqué.
Zonal marking by Rayo Vallecano. Nobody stays with Piqué from the very beginning. Gets a running start across the goalkeeper. 1-1.
5 minutes into the second half, Semedo brought down by Jordi Amat. Penalty awarded.
Super challenge, really. No need to make it. Little feint here, arms behind the back, then he hangs the leg out. Looks like he clips the player. Messi really feeling the pressure here.
In the end, it would be a 3-1 win for Barca. Rakitic finding Luis Suarez for the goal.
Yeah, that's nice. That's very nice. Practice session sort of goal.
Overall, another positive performance for Barcelona, with one caveat that seems to continue in that Philippe Coutinho not putting in the sort of performances that they spent all that money. They invested all that money in that Brazilian to get that flair that he showed at Liverpool, but once again he comes up short. He was booed off when he was substituted today. Just not good enough.
No, and what's happening now with Coutinho is that he's not even playing as a winger anymore, and he doesn't give you enough pace down the flank, so he starts drifting inside. When he drifts inside, he gets into the space of Lionel Messi, and therefore it just feels like he's more disturbing and disrupting than he's adding to the team. I believe Valverde understands this, and so he knows that he needs space in the final third. And so that's why he brings Dembele on at halftime. And in doing so, drops Coutinho into the midfield. Okay, maybe that's going to work. Well, that doesn't work either. And so Coutinho right now is just getting on the way in things rather than helping the team win games. And that is a tough place to be, especially when Dembele apparently injured his hamstring in this game.
Yeah.
And if he's not available for the Lyon game, then who's the option? Well, it has to be Coutinho. There's nobody else. And he has to add more, but he doesn't, because now he's playing a different game than whatever he played at Liverpool.
Is it a psychological thing? Is it the fact? Is it got to his head, sort of thing?
I think that is part of it with a lot of these players, and I've said it before with some of the Real Madrid players, particularly Gareth Bale,
Yep.
who's been similarly getting a lot of stick. And as Ali said, I mean, the pieces in the jigsaw might not be fitting the way that Valverde wants with Coutinho at the moment, and he is maybe not playing in a position that he prefers, and he is getting in the way of other players. But let me tell you, when I don't know exactly what the new camp holds, but when there's 90,000 people booing you and hissing you and all sorts, again, it's a confidence thing, because we know how talented this player is. But once again, when you're making the big step up from the Liverpools of this world, which is a great club, to the top echelon of world football in Barcelona, when it starts to go wrong, that's where the really great players make a difference from the ones that think they're going to go into that stage, but really struggle for the consistency.
I think part of it as well is the fact that you get a player like Artur Melo, for example. If he plays well or doesn't play well, it kind of goes unnoticed.
It's the price tag.
Yeah,
it's similar to Bale.
Correct. And so given what Coutinho was supposed to be for this team and what he hasn't been for this club, that's what makes a difference.
Atletico Madrid, the only real challengers, even if you can call them that, left Barca's La Liga crown. They're at home against Leganés today. It'd be another barnstormer from Atleti.
Huh?
Let's take it into the second half. Angel Correa making the run. Brought down on the edge of the box, and it's a penalty that's awarded.
Well, there's a touch there, slight touch. Doesn't really matter. It's a penalty. And
Steps up.
Oh, okay.
Penalty saved. Gets on the rebound to make it 1-0. Late on, could this have been a penalty? Arnaiz goes down.
Well, they've got VAR, haven't they?
Yep.
Oh, come on. Come on. I mean, how can...
And he's right there.
But how can he miss it, and then how can the VAR official miss that? I mean, that's impossible to miss that unless you just don't want to see it.
They just wanted to go home. It was late. Athletic then with a 1-0 win, meaning that 7 points separate them and Barca at the top of the table. Athletic, of course, in action midweek, take on Juve. They take a 2-0 lead to Turin for this Champions League clash. Gab Marcotti, you look at it, and Atleti 4-1 on, Juve at 3-1. That's about right, isn't it? It's a big task for Juve to get themselves back into this tie.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think factored into it is the fact that Juve simply haven't been playing well in a really, really long while. I mean, I know, obviously, they won on Friday night against Udinese 4-1, but prior to that, you had a long stint where they simply weren't looking right. They're still getting results, still getting victory in Serie A. Allegri coming under attack from a portion of the fan base. Even this crazy story that, he'd offered his resignation. Cristiano looking unhappy. All these things coming to a head, and they need to pull it out against Atleti. Otherwise, a little bit like Real Madrid, except for the fact, of course, that they won the Serie A title, they're entering, their off-season effectively begins here and now in March.
Now, a lot more about that game. Be sure to download the latest edition of the Serie Awesome podcast. Plus, the guys talk about what went wrong with Di Francesco and Roma.
That's a serious man bun over there.
Oh, yeah. It's getting big, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So Bayern are top of the table. In Germany, it's goal difference, not head-to-head, that is the differential when it comes to points level. So Bayern Munich, top of the table. Bayern were really impressive today. And when you think about this and what's to come between now and the end of the season, Bayern, for sure, favourites to win the league.
Well, I mean, I think a lot's going to be decided, Dan, in the head-to-head, obviously coming up in, about 3 weeks. But certainly the momentum, stating the obvious here, has shifted. The one thing you wonder about is I'm not sure all of Bayern's ills have all gone away all at once. I think it's more of Borussia Dortmund maybe kicking down a notch. Obviously, they had their injuries. This is a younger team, setbacks. And I think the Champions League, again, is going to play a pretty big part in this. Obviously, Borussia Dortmund out. How much of that will it be a distraction or take energies away from a Bayern team that, in certain positions, I think remains somewhat thin?
0-0, of course, was the result in the first leg at Anfield as we look ahead to Bayern Munich against Liverpool this week. Liverpool are just favourites to advance to the quarter-finals ahead of Bayern Munich. That's a bit of a surprise, isn't it, considering it's at the Allianz Arena?
Yes, particularly because, as it's been well documented, Liverpool have had pretty up and down period in the last 3 or 4 weeks. So that is a surprise. I mean, some people have said, or it has been muted, that Liverpool should forego the Champions League to concentrate on the Premier League because that's more important for them.
Yeah.
However, I think whilst the Bundesliga is important, with how it's been panning out in the Champions League, with the likes of Real Madrid going out, Bayern Munich, this is a hugely important competition for them, and I think their focus will be more on the Champions League than it would be necessarily on the Bundesliga, which they've won so many times recently. However, I don't see how Liverpool are quite favourites. They're going to go there, I would imagine, play a more defensive game than we see normally from a Liverpool side and look to hit on the counter.
Let's say for a second that Liverpool is bounced out of Champions League in this second leg against Bayern Munich. They're going to look back at how disappointing that first leg was, that 0-0 at home, where they never really challenged Bayern Munich. They never really got after Bayern Munich at a time where Bayern Munich was vulnerable.
Yeah.
Now, over the last couple of weeks, Bayern Munich now look like world beaters.
They look great today.
And so when you see this team play the way that they did today, you're a Liverpool fan, you have to sit there and say, man, we could have done so much more in that first game, and now we find ourselves in a position where you're playing against a confident team that feel a whole lot better about themselves, that are not nearly as vulnerable as they once were at home. Good luck. I mean, it's just, this is not just the one game that they're playing against Bayern Munich at the Allianz Arena. This comes from a couple of weeks ago where you didn't do enough at home and you didn't really test Bayern Munich. In the end, if they don't advance, they'll be punished for it.
A lot more, of course, on that game throughout the week. And just a reminder, extra time with you every day for teams that could be in that fight.
Probably to Newcastle, yeah.
Meanwhile, in the Premier League, of course, Arsenal against Manchester United tomorrow. A big game regarding the top four. Also an interesting match regarding United and how they respond after all that excitement in Paris. Solskjaer can do no wrong, obviously, at the moment. Just one defeat in 17 matches. That was at Old Trafford away against PSG. So we asked you, who would be a better fit for the Manchester United job long term? Who would have thought, just even 4 or 5 weeks ago, this would be the response?
To be fair, I'm shocked that's the response even now.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? Only 9% say Pochettino, 91% say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I'll get your views in a minute, boys, but first let's go to Gab Marcotti. Gab, if you were in charge of United, who would you have, Solskjaer or Pochettino?
There's no question Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has done a tremendous job. He's surpassed all expectations. And Mike Phelan with him has been a big part of it. But you'd be an absolute fool to appoint Ole Gunnar Solskjaer now. You stick to your original plan. You go out there and you see what you can get, who is realistically available, how much does it cost you, how difficult is it, and you make a decision at the end of May. And if it's still Solskjaer, it's still Solskjaer. I'd feel a lot better with a director of football type in there, but, you know, that wasn't part of your question. But it's completely demented to go and make a commitment right now, I think, to Solskjaer.
Well, look, I'm amazed at that poll, and I think that's how, you know, fans get swept away with the emotion. And it's been an amazing story, and it is a bubble at the moment at Man United, and we take nothing away from what they have done. However, if you were saying to me, what is the best interest long-term between these two, there's no comparison. Maurizio Pochettino is by far the better and more experienced and more proven manager. Look at what he's done in Spain and then what he did at Southampton to get the Tottenham job. And what I think we all agree what he's done with Tottenham, even though there's been no trophies as yet, with not the biggest squad and not the biggest budget. And it's been a pretty amazing job. So I think that would be my long-term view, would be certainly Pochettino would be the better candidate. But I do think emotion will take its place here, and it would probably be Solskjaer who Man United pick.
In a vacuum, I would agree with Pochettino having a better and more impressive resume than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. However, we don't live in a vacuum. And I can tell you that I know all these players that are now performing for Solskjaer were not performing for the genius that Jose Mourinho is, who had even more impressive resume than Mauricio Pochettino. This guy, Solskjaer, is getting the best out of the group that he has available. That, by definition, is what a manager should do. Now, I don't know long-term. I don't know what happens 3 years from now. I know that now I am getting the best out of these players with this guy leading my club. That makes the decision all the more difficult and all the more tempting to say, right, Ole, you take this team forward.
But what Pochettino's done, my argument would be is look what he's done over a long, well, not a long period, it's not exactly Ferguson and Wenger, but look what he's done over the space of 3 or 4 or 5 years. The consistency. We know he can do it, right? We know he can rebuild. We know he can set his team up. We know there's going to be longevity there. And he's still pretty young. What we don't know is whether Solskjaer can keep this going into the summer, a next transfer window, the start of a new season, because the previous clubs he's been at, it's been a struggle. It's not been a struggle for Pochettino. I think what's happening here is the emotion, and clearly and understandably, the emotion of the great results and the momentum should not get in the way of a consistent and clear decision about where the club's going to go long term.
Not the last time, I don't think we've discussed this.
Probably not.
Meanwhile, let's take you through what happened today in Italy. Most big games tomorrow, but you've got Chievo taking on Milan in the late match today. Milan 2, that win for Milan now stretches their lead above Inter to 4 points. Gab, this obviously a result perfect for Milan ahead of the Milan derby at the weekend.
Yeah, although, of course, we also had Rino Gattuso watching after being sent up in the stands. But Piontek on the score sheet, Lucas Biglia, who I've been saying this all season, maybe not the greatest when he was there, but he's one of those guys that you really notice when he's not there. Romagnoli also nearly scored a tremendous goal at the end, just wide. So I think Milan are firing. Suso looks to be back as well. The momentum, I think, is all very, very clearly going towards the red and black half. But we've seen in the past, derbies change the momentum.
I mean, they haven't lost since they haven't lost since December. Fiorentina at home. It's 13 or 14.
Lie. All right, Stato.
I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry.
Show preparation.
Listen, I had a lot of time on my hands.
That game live on ESPN2. Welcome to Extra Time. Did Ali pick Spurs again?
No, I did not. I've stayed away. In fact, last week I did him a favor and I picked Arsenal. I listened to the Spurs fans.
Yep.
They didn't want me to pick Spurs, so I didn't. I picked Arsenal. That didn't work. And I stayed away this week as well. So it's not me.
It's incredible.
It's somebody else's problem. It's not me.
It's going to be a heck of a fight for the top 4 now, isn't it?
I know, everywhere. Like the top 4, top 2, bottom 8. It's all go. All go.
Predictions, eh?
Meanwhile, in the Championship, please let Burley rant about the Darren Moore firing.
Ooh. Well, you know, as we pointed out, for those that saw the show, they are in 4th, which is a playoff spot to get to the Premier League. And I understand that since Christmas it's not been great for them, and they've not shown great form. But to sack a manager that's in 4th spot is, by modern standards, which is pretty bad, is still going some. I mean, Darren Moore came in off the back of a shambles, I think, last year, and almost kept him up.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't follow West Brom every week because we don't concentrate on the Championship, obviously, but still, you know, to have a very good chance to be going back to the Premier League and get sacked is rather harsh.
Do you know why Ali would really like West Brom?
Yes. Why?
Their mascot is a boiler.
You could do it.
Why you?
And you've had boiler issues. So it's perfect. I absolutely promise you, Google West Brom's mascot and it's a boiler.
Oh, man, come on, that's cold. Tell you what else is cold. The water in my house is cold.
Oh, dear, don't worry. It's cheap.
Very.
Very cheap.
So I'm told.
Gav is here. And Gav, I'm going to go to you because you are the contrarian on the panel. How is Pickford not sent off for his absolutely cynical tackle on Rondon? If you haven't seen it, it's a rugby tackle, basically. On Rondon in the box, a penalty is awarded. Yeah, that is it, Gab.
I have absolutely no idea. I thought he should have been sent off. Just a reminder, if it happens inside the box, then it's a penalty and you give a yellow card, unless it's a clear denial of a goal-scoring opportunity, which I thought in this case it pretty obviously was, but I guess referee thought differently. Well, thankfully, he's not as bad as referee as the guy in the Man City game, or maybe he was.
Yep.
Maybe we need VAR now.
Oh. They try to help this sort of challenge for defenders and goalkeepers by saying if you make a clear attempt to play the ball.
Yes. It's trying to get rid of the 3 strikes, wasn't it?
Yeah, they're getting punished 3 times.
This was 5 strikes.
But clearly, he was nowhere near playing the ball after dropping it. And, yeah.
Let's move away from football for a moment, Craig.
Oh.
Why are Scots stereotyped as cheap? I have to say, Craig is not cheap when he goes out.
I don't know.
Others that are Scottish.
He may be on this panel occasionally. Although he's not too bad when you get him out.
No, that's true.
No, to be fair, he's not. He'll stand his round. He won't hide from buying drinks, Stevie.
No.
Oh, Stevie. Oh. But it's just other things.
Yeah.
I don't know, because when I was a youngster and I went to London at 16, jocks, as they call us, Scottish jocks, we're always stereotyped as being tight. I don't know why. But I have seen some very tight ones. Oh, we have another one.
Yes, we do.
We do.
A big one.
We have one who is very tight.
He's a magician. He pulls his disappearing acts at bill time.
We have...
Nothing to see here.
As I always say about him, he turns the gas off when he's turning the bacon over. That's how tight he is.
You've hung around, obviously, with a lot of Scots, a lot of English as well. Is it fair to say the Scots are tighter?
No, I tell you what, seriously, and as you know, I find I'm often at a bar somewhere.
Yes, yeah.
Socialising. So I see a lot, and I do see...
A social butterfly.
I don't think it's a nationality thing. I think it's just a perception.
Right.
But I don't think... Because I see it a lot, actually, and as you well know, these people... and I'm only talking about men here because I'm drinking with men. The guys that are not buying a drink when you're in a group stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
But they don't think they stick out like a sore thumb.
You know it.
They think they're getting away with it, but everybody else is going...
It's the tying their shoelaces on the way to the bar, going to the bathroom.
The best one is when I used to arrive at a hotel in Scotland after working. There was a certain individual that was in a group. Every time we went down the hotel stairs to the bar, because it was downstairs, we all used to hang back. And we all used to hang back and go, we've got him now.
Yep.
Got him. And we'd go down and we'd know what he was saying. Bathroom. Every time.
Everyone's got someone like that, don't they?
And they stand out and they do stick out. I'm not tight, you know that.
Ali, you're not tight either, by the way. But you get it worse because you don't drink.
Correct.
And yet the bill comes and you're just like...
Correct. But that's all right. Everybody's having a good time, and I don't mind adding into the good time.
I would not be happy with that.
Well, I did take part in the Shirley Temple.
Right. Does Craig hate Real Madrid?
Why would he ask? Because I've given him a bit of stick this week. I don't hate
yes.
I don't hate any club.
No.
Just we've got a job to do here. When things are not good, they're not good. Not good.
What about players?
Real Madrid were great last week. They got those 2 Clásicos. Went out the Copa del Rey and got hammered by Ajax at home, departing the Champions League.
Other than that?
Oh, other than that, what I'll do is I'll come in and I'll say, everything's great because they've just won the last 3 Champions Leagues. Let's have a historical show.
People say Craig hates Paul Pogba and never says praise him or says anything positive about him. Can Craig dispel these rumours?
Who are these
rumours?
people?
Where's Hassan?
Who are these people?
Everywhere Hassan goes, people are...
Yeah.
If you heard what Craig Burley said about Paul Pogba now...
I was like everybody else. A lot of people were on Pogba's case when he wasn't playing well, and he wasn't alone. But I think, goodness me, we've praised him since he's been playing well. That's what we do.
Well, it's a lot of Craig questions.
Oh, yeah.
When Craig goes to his happy place, what does it look like?
Golf.
Oh.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, on the bar.
Craig is very happy on a golf course.
Yes. Creepily.
Lovely, friendly, not competitive, nice, tries to help.
Well,
you.
I'm competitive, but not to a stage where I'm not helping people.
No, you're lovely.
And what was I going to say?
I know. See, now you're emotional when you talk about golf.
It's just people get the wrong impression.
No.
They do, because we're doing a job here.
Yes.
And we're doing a magazine show which needs a bit of life around it and a bit of enthusiasm.
See, why is he saying this as if he's still telling the truth?
And a bit of debate. Now, sometimes you've got to stir the pot a little bit.
Right. But what? Away from the TV, you're hugging puppies? And
hugging puppies, yes.
That's true.
Other than that, I'm going round. I'm laying pipes for fresh water for people. Everything. But on a golf course. Yeah. Patience of a saint, me. Unlike the other Scotsman and him.
Well,
yeah.
You're not very friendly on the golf course.
No, it frustrates. What a frustrating game it is.
Well, it's your swing.
It's my swing, my face, everything.
I enjoyed the golf course as well. But
I know, you're very calm on it as well.
Yeah. Well, his game's got better. A lot better. Yours is not.
No.
And I'm giving you clubs. I give you a driver.
I know, you did give me a driver. That's nice. Say nice, friendly Craig.
About a third of Nichols' bags, my old club's in there as well. I've sorted his bunker game out. I sorted his driving out. Can't sort his head out or his clothes. Can't sort those out when he turns up with a New England Revolution goalkeeper's top on the tee.
Right, let's move on. Come on, I need to go. Eredivisie podcast, an Eredivisie version of the Serie Awesome podcast. Please, I like ESPN FC as it is. I just like an additional podcast that covers Eredivisie. So our producer's put this in, hasn't he?
Of course he has. And he would do one.
Eredivisie podcast.
There you go. Gab, would you be interested in that? You don't do too many podcasts these days. Oh, wait, you do not.
would have come in handy this past week. Now all of a sudden everybody's an expert on Ajax. Would have been cool if we had a legitimate crew of experts providing us with a weekly Eredivisie podcast. Now look, I think the reality is even when you cover world football, there's only so many teams and so many leagues you can cover, and so inevitably you can only really dip in and out of the Eredivisie. But how awesome would it be if we got cool stories about, I don't know, De Graafschap and Go Ahead Eagles and Almelo and all that good stuff?
I'd like to see the numbers for that.
Final
I'll tell you, the only place you could put an Eredivisie podcast is in Holland. Let's be honest about it.
Don't get angry. We're in a happy place.
Final question. Gab, the last time you had a coconut water with a straw.
Never.
You never had one?
A coconut water with a straw?
Coconut water with a straw?
You know where they cut the top of the coconut up, stick the straw in?
Why would it do that?
It's lovely. It's so refreshing on a hot day.
When was it?
Yes. I don't know, Gab. I'm asking you.
It was last summer.
Oh, where were you?
Thank you. It was last summer. Tenerife.
If anybody ever saw me...
Sun tanning? Yes, a sun tanning got my coffee.
If my mates ever saw me with a coconut water with a straw, I'd never be able to go back on my golf.
It's lovely.
Why would I do that?
Craig.
Buy a Peroni instead.
Oh, like 10 o'clock in the morning you're having a Peroni,
Well, I'll have a glass
Craig.
of water. Yes, Gab.
Craig.
Yes.
Craig, you're at the hotel. The dude comes by with a tray. They're complimentary. You don't want to offend him. He gives you a coconut water. You take like 3 sips and you're done, and you can go back to your beer.
No, I'm
not
actually,
that big a deal.
This is me.
Don't worry about it.
I'm back in angry Craig now. So when he comes round,
That didn't take long.
with the coconut water, I'm like, get stuffed.
Oh, that's not very nice. I think Jamaica. That's the last time I went to Jamaica.
No, I was in Jamaica 18
didn't have
months
any?
ago. I never saw anybody come round with
No?
it. No.
Well, that's because your eyes were all on the bar.
You drink the coconut water and then you eat also the meat inside the
Oh,
coconut.
I didn't eat the meat.
Yeah. You scrape it off the coconut.
Oh, there you go.
Just telling you.
Perfect. That is it.
Just saying. If you're gonna do it tropical, do it tropical.
Who would look worse with it, me or Nico?
Can you imagine giving Nickel that? What do you want me to do with that? He's here tomorrow.
He'd put mince in it.
Liverpool.
He'd put a shepherd's pie in it. Quite nice, that shepherd's pie inside the coconut.